What's up guys, Misha here. Welcome to this week's Ethereum forecast. And as always, we're going to start with the SMI, and then we'll take a look at the commitment of traders report where something very interesting happened. We'll go over that, and then after that we'll go over the price action. But before we get started guys, as always, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up, we greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's go ahead and get this video started. So first off, SMI. So what are we seeing from an SMI perspective? And for those of you that don't know, the SMI is our smart money sentiment indicator that uses the spot market to give us an idea of how the market is positioned, right? So we're looking at the long-term SMI and the short-term SMI. And looking at the long-term, we could see that we have the major distribution right here. When it's red, it's major distribution. And what we're waiting for is strong accumulation, right? So we're waiting for blue bars to show up. And so far, we haven't seen that. So on a long-term perspective, we've seen a little bit of accumulation, which is the green bar. And then we've seen mostly neutral and red, with neutral is white. And then the red is distribution. That's what we've been seeing for the most part. We haven't seen any significant accumulation, extended period of accumulation on the long term. Nor have we seen some strong accumulation. Now looking at the short-term SMI, we've seen a little bit more pronounced accumulation right here after we had seen the major distribution at these highs here. And we've seen some neutral. Now we're getting accumulation again, but again, no signs of strong accumulation, which is what we're waiting for to start accumulating new positions in the market. Okay, so when we get these big phases of distribution like this and the market starts to break down, in order for us to start looking for new opportunities to get long again, we want to see strong accumulation. That's when we start looking for opportunities to get long. That's when we go into our smart money scanner and we look at what alerts are coming through to be able to enter positions. So right now, we're not looking to enter any new positions unless we see the strong accumulation. So with that said, now let's go ahead and take a look at the commitment of traders report. All right, guys, we're now looking at the COT report for Ethereum, and this is the report as of April 5th of 2022, which means this is the report that came out last Friday. Now, tomorrow is a holiday, so I am not sure if we will get a report, but as always, if we do, it's going to be posted in our Discord as soon as it comes out. So if you're not in on Discord yet, there's a link down below in the description. You can go ahead and join our Discord for completely free. So with that said, looking at the report from last Friday, if you guys remember last week when we made the video, we spoke about how there was a major shift in the COT report for Ethereum. Now, the positioning of the asset managers, which is the group that we look at, these are institutional players, their positioning had completely flipped from being 100% net short to being 100% net long. We had seen their longs stay at zero for a very, very long time while they were adding on shorts. But well, not last week's report, but the report before that, right? So in the video that we made last week, we mentioned how the longs had started to increase for the first time, and then the shorts had gone back down to zero. Now, what we've seen in Friday's report is that although the shorts stayed at zero, which means we're still 100% long, but the longs have decreased by 34 contracts. So they've decreased their longs exposure. They're still 100% long, but there was a decrease in long. So let's go ahead and take a look at that on the chart using our BTH COT indicator. And I have the percentage longs and shorts here. We have the shorts, and then we have the longs, right? So we can see the switch right here, the flip that happened from 100% net short here to 100% net long. But as you guys can see, after the longs increase right here, and you guys can see right at the high here, we can see that the longs have started to decrease. And ever since then, we've seen a drop in the market. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens on the next report, because what we don't want to see is this. We don't want to see this rally here and then the drop and then it stays flat. Okay, we don't want to see that. As you guys can see, that created a consolidation in the market the last time we saw that. But at the same time, during that time, the market was still 100% short. Here, we're 100% long. So it's a little bit different, but still, we would like to see, if we want to be bullish, we would like to see the longs increase again. If they start to stay below the average, which they are just below the average right now, if they start to decrease again and go back to zero, that's not going to be a good thing, especially if they increase short. So what we want to see now, in order for us to be bullish, we want to see longs increase again, and we want to see shorts stayed below the average. That will keep us 100% bullish. And then once we get the strong accumulation on the SMI, we'll look for stuff in the price action with the volume profile to allow us to be able to get in and participate in a potential move higher. However, if that doesn't happen, then we could potentially see more downside. So with that said, now let's go ahead and take a look at the price action. All right, guys, we're now looking at the ETHBTC chart. And if you guys remember, last week we were talking about a couple different levels on this pair. Obviously, if we go to our daily time frame, you guys remember that we have been bullish on ETHBTC because we have retested the previous year's value area high. You guys can see this right here. This is the yearly volume profile here, and we can see the value area high here was retested. That was in March 9th, and ever since then we've seen a nice move to the upside. Now, what this is telling us that ETH has been outperforming BTC throughout this rally here. Now, some of our targets were this weekly supply here. You guys can see this. So go to a weekly time frame, show you guys the weekly supply here, and then we have this. Well, that kind of looks like a weekly supply as well, but the level came from the 3-day, and that was our 3-day supply area right here. So what are we going to do from here? Because we've been consolidating. Once we hit this weekly supply, we've hit it on the week of April 1st, and not the week, the 3-day candle from April 1st, sorry. And we've been consolidating ever since. So are we going to move up into this 3-day supply, or are we going to come down into the previous month's value area high, or the previous quarter's value area high, right? The previous quarter's value area high was the level that I expected price to come down into when we were dropping here. We spoke about that last week, and that did not actually happen. And we've seen a pullback here, but look at what's going on. This pullback, all this pullback's been doing is actually retesting the weekly open. And when we go down into our 1 hour, we can see that based on the weekly profile, we are still within last week's value. So we're still kind of consolidating within that range here, and we could easily break down and start to bear trend. If we do bear trend, then I would expect us to come down to this area, which is the monthly quarterly open, which is also the previous quarter's value area high. When we drop down into a 3-day, we can see a similar pattern. We are consolidating within the previous 3 days value. And when we look at the daily, same exact thing. So right now, there isn't any significant direction here on the Ethereum BTC chart. But one thing we know for a fact is from the monthly value perspective, we're definitely bullish. And from the quarterly value perspective, we are definitely bullish. So again, a pullback down into these value area highs, either the quarterly, which lines up with the monthly quarterly open, or the monthly, which is down here. And when we go down into our daily time frame, we could see we have a demand area here as well. So these are areas where we could see price come down into. So we could mark out this area right here. That could be an area of support. So we're going to be paying attention to that. But right now we have more of a consolidation on this. We'll see which way this breaks out. Does it break to the upside and reach this area, or does it break to the downside and reach that area here? But now that we've seen Ethereum BTC, let's take a look at Ethereum USD. All right, guys, we're now looking at ETHUSD. And as you guys remember, last week we were talking about price having actually hit this area right here, which is a 3-day supply. And we had seen the weekly profile start to bear trend, meaning we had broken below the previous week's value low, what was the previous week's value low at the time, and we expected movement to the downside. Now, we had seen the asset managers increase their longs, which was the first time we had seen that in a very long time. So we were thinking that we are going to see price bottom at some point, but we're going to need to see the SMI give us strong accumulation. But now that the asset managers have reduced their longs, now we're entering very dangerous territory, because if by the next report we see that they completely pull all their longs out of the market, then the idea of finding a bottom very soon could be completely wrong, right? So we'd have to reevaluate what's going on. So at the moment, we are going to assume that asset managers are going to keep their longs and are going to continue to increase their longs. So in order for us to get in line with that potential up move, we're going to need to see where in price could we potentially expect the SMI to give us that strong accumulation. So one of the levels that we're going to be looking for is this daily demand down here. You guys can see that we've hit it once, created a pullback on this down move, and then now we are coming back down. So not only did we hit that daily demand, but we also hit this level area, this blue line, which is the previous year's value area high right here, you guys can see. And that's very, very important, because we were within value from last year. So within the value area, we broke outside of it. Coming down, you would want to see the retest of the value area hold and then price continue to the upside. However, right now, we don't have any indication that this is going to hold. Now, could it hold? Absolutely. But we don't have that indication right now. So we'll have to wait and see if the SMI gives a strong accumulation. But not only that, when we start looking at our volume profiles, so based on the quarterly, that was one of the areas that we were looking for potential support. But you guys can see price sliced through it, came back using it as resistance, coming down again. And we're looking at the monthly value area high as well. That was another potential support that we were looking at. And we did see some support here, but again, value, the SMI is not giving us the strong accumulation that we want. And secondly, when we go down into a weekly profile, we can see that we're currently bear trending. So we don't want to be a buyer as we're bear trending on the weekly, at least not as a swing trader. You do not want to be doing that. So right now, what this is telling us is that there is potential for more downside, and maybe that downside will allow the SMI to give us strong accumulation, right? Going down into a 3-day profile, we can see within that one, we are within the last 3 days value. So we're consolidating within that range, but we are using the point of control as resistance. And then when we go down into our daily, you can see that we're sitting right on the previous day's value low. So can we bounce off of it and move higher, or are we going to break it? We'll have to see. But neither one is going to make me be a buyer at the moment, because again, I want to see that strong accumulation on the SMI. That is the key for us to be looking to accumulate new long positions. And then another thing we're going to be paying attention to, like I was saying, I've been saying this entire video, is what are the asset managers going to do with their longs? Are they going to bring their longs back to zero? If that happens, then longs ideas are invalidated. But if that does not happen, if they keep increasing longs, well, if they start increasing longs again, because they already decreased them last week, if they increase them again, then we'll keep the idea of the market potentially bottoming soon, and then looking for that SMI strong accumulation. And then once that happens, then we'll look at our different levels that we mentioned, which is going to be this daily demand area. And if that does not hold, then we're going to be looking at the previous month's point of control and the previous month's value low. This area right here is going to be our next area of support, and that's where we would expect some potential reversal. So as I've been saying, all eyes on strong accumulation on SMI and asset managers increasing longs again and keeping the shorts below average. I don't mind them having shorts. I just want the shorts to be below average, but right now they're at 0. So if you want to be bullish, you'd rather see these shorts stay at 0. So that's going to be it for today, guys. I give you guys the levels of importance, that daily demand, and then this zone right here, which means that we're looking at this zone is about 2,500 to basically the 2,500 area. And then this zone here is about 2,700, well, sorry, 2,960, and then 2,800, okay? So these are the two zones where we're going to be looking for strong accumulation on SMI, asset managers increasing long, and then some type of volume profile to flip bullish, preferably the weekly volume profile. And then we'll start to look to accumulate Ethereum and potentially some other altcoins. So with that being said, guys, hopefully you guys got some value from this. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in next week's video. Peace.